Man, it has been insanely busy in my world, including pinball, but mostly my work world, and it's been keeping me away from getting to chat with you, friendly listeners. But that'll change tonight. Here we go, without really a plan, on episode 161 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast and commentary, and I am a man out of quarters. How are you guys? We are coming to you this evening, not live, May 4th, 2015, from beautiful San Diego, California. A little windy tonight. It's kind of nice. A little cloud cover this evening and afternoon. It's excellent. Spring is here. May. We're into May. Welcome to May, everybody. May the 4th be with you and all that jazz. So how is everybody? So I have been traveling for work. I've been doing events for my company where generally I speak for 90 minutes to 3 hours per night. And the thought of then going and talking into a microphone by myself for another hour is just not that attractive to me, and I'm sick of my own voice. But we're home. We're here for a week or so, getting stuff done around the house, playing a bunch of pinball. Put up a new high score on my America's Most Haunted tonight, 128 million. And it was great. I have some great strategy ideas on America's Most Haunted that involve ignoring the 3 bank drop targets for the minion fights and going after modes. I suggest you do the same if you're trying to score on that game. I had 4 bosses beaten. I had photo hunt done twice. Minion multi-ball was done, not by focusing on it, just by getting there. And multi-ball, and then the regular multi-ball was done. So I had 3 of the 4 main objectives done, 4 out of 6 ghosts done. That's the best game I've ever played by a long shot. 128 million. And as I was putting in my initials, I was getting my phone, I was calling Teresa in here. I was like, yeah, Teresa, look at this. And I put in my initials, NJS, and I was taking pictures of just the screen before I hit the final end button to lock in my initials. I waited too long. And so now the high score on my game is not NJS at 128 million. It did take the score. 128 is there. But it defaulted to BEN. Ben Heckendorn gets the last laugh tonight. But I have photographic evidence that it's my score. And I was pretty happy with that score. So that's good. There's a lot going on. I have been mentally doing episode 161 in my head for about a week now, and I've been getting home and getting to hotels and just not had the energy. I started to do the show last night. I started some notes. I was planning things, reading Pinside, looking around the internet, like, what are we going to talk about? What's going on? There's no major crisis happening in pinball, which is good. No game being released, which that'll probably be like tomorrow since I'm saying that today. I'm not going and getting any games. There's no show this week. Pinfest in Allentown sounded like it was great. I didn't get to go. So what are we going to talk about? So what are we going to talk about? Well, first, let's hit up some 5 fast thoughts.
5 fast thoughts.
I've been meaning to mention this in the show for a couple weeks now. But friend of the show, guest of the show, Adam Keisler, has been playing the role of the modern-day Roger Sharp up in the Montreal, Canada scene and trying to get pinball legalized in Montreal. Pinball not legal in the city of Montreal? What the heck? Thinking about that today. I need to reach out to Adam, see if he wants to come on and let us know how that fight is going. 5 fast thoughts number 2. Anybody catch the post on Facebook? Probably a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I've been losing some days here. Spooky Pinball posted a shot of one Mr. Scott Gullix, who designed the Wrath of Olympus project game that was attempting to be pre-ordered to be built through Spooky Pinball that did not meet their minimum they needed. And did it die? I don't think it died. I think there's still a lot of people who'd like to see Wrath of Olympus. And I saw Scott at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and he was talking about ideas. And then we saw a photo of Scott in Benton, Wisconsin at Lawrence's Pub with the Spooky Pinball crew. So interesting, to say the least, what could be happening there. Number 3 on 5 Fast Thoughts. There's so many podcasts. I love it. I actually started this show, if you don't know, friendly listener, because I kept running out of things to listen to based on pinball. And I thought, if I'm running out, everybody else must be running out as well. And that's why I started this show. Now it's hard to run out because in the last few days, there's a new spooky episode. There was a new pinball podcast episodes. I haven't even mentioned I did mention, I'm blanking on the name. This is so bad. I'm Googling. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm tired. I did mention the great EM and Bingo podcast. Thank you, for amusement only. And then we also have a new podcast, which I have not mentioned on the show, and it is run by a pair of operators. And I know if you listen to their podcast, they've already done their job and mentioned this. So I am late to the game here, and it is the Coinbox Pinball Podcast, the Coinbox Pinball Podcast, which is run by 2 operators. I haven't actually gotten to listen to it yet. I'm backed up on all these podcasts right now, which is excellent. It's what I always wanted. I want more than I can even digest. So that makes me happy. So if you are one of those folks who's been sending me messages saying, hey man, where'd you go? Where's the next episode? There's a lot of stuff out there to listen to right now. Also, I have to mention the most recent episode, in probably the episode I've been looking forward to the most, was the new episode from our friends on the other side of the globe at the Pinheads, with a Z or a Z, as we say in the United States, a Z on the end, Pinheads Pinball Podcast, because I knew, I think most people paying attention knew, that Rod, the host, had money in on Predator, and I was very excited to hear his take. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So lots of podcasts out there, lots and lots of podcasts. Great time for audio about pinball. The One and Done also has episodes out. I got thoughts on that too, so I'm going to make notes. Hold on. Come back to One and Done, because I'm going to make a really great point that I'm sure none of you have thought of yet. We'll come back to that. And let me also make a Pinheads note. We are going without a script tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Number 4 on my 5 Fast Thoughts was shout out to Pinfest in Allentown. I'm sorry I didn't give you guys more play on the show. I actually had a couple emails from people who were involved in the show. I don't think I've returned the emails. I'm sorry. This is, I do this for fun, and I can't cover it all. I try really hard. And I tell you, I got one really critical email that kind of called me out and said, hey man, you're playing favorites. You're only talking about your friends and blah, blah, blah. And to that I would say, listen to the beginning of every show. It's a podcast. It's a commentary. It's my commentary. And my commentary is going to be about what I am involved with, what I'm doing, what I'm going. When I have time, when I'm organized, which is not right now, I will gladly run down all the upcoming shows. And I feel bad about Allentown because they did exactly what they should do, and they emailed me ahead of time. Because if you do that, it's likely I'll mention what's going on. But I'm just going to talk about the shows I'm going to. I'm going to talk about the people that reach out to me or that I meet when I'm out at shows. That is what I will talk about, because it's just my commentary. I'm just this guy, right? I'm just a lonely guitar salesman floating out in this world of silver balls and whatnot. So sorry, what can I do? 5 Fast Thought number 5 is Arcade Expo in Banning, California. We were really hoping for a second date where they were going to open up their amazing facility with more than 500 games here in 2015, but it looks like they've announced their next date, and it will be in January of 2016. I believe it's the second full weekend in January, right around the 15th, 16th. Check out Arcade Expo's website, which may or may not be arcadeexpo.com, but if you look for them on Facebook, you'll find their page there. So looking forward to the next chance to go play that fantastic collection. So there are 5 Fast Thoughts.
Forum static.
So we're recording this here all around 9 p.m. Pacific time on May 4th. I believe we will have an announcement from Stern Pinball any moment, day, week about the next pinball machine they're going to release. I have been in a bit of a bind on the Stern thing lately because I've gotten some of that, quote, that insider information that I get accused of withholding occasionally or whatever from multiple sources on what the next game is, and the next game, and the next game, and the next game. And sometimes these are sort of like anonymous sources where people, I guess, just want to feed me info so I can say it. And I'll run with that. I'll tell you that I got a rumor. I have no problem with that because I'm not getting anybody in trouble, because if you're not going to tell me who you are, then I don't care. But there's also the other side of the coin where somebody who is in or involved in the industry and I are chatting, and they know, and out of just our friendship, they tell me what they know, and I don't feel good about running with that, because if they happen to be one of the only people that knows, and then I go and run my mouth, I don't want to be the cause of anybody causing waves. I don't want to say getting in trouble, but I don't want to be the cause of, a disturbance in the force, as it may be. But there's been enough. I think we've all talked about Kiss and Game of Thrones. That's been out there for a while. Those are the next two rumored titles. I don't know who's doing which. I think I've been corrected both ways when I've speculated both ways. But I can tell you this. I had from a very, very good authority, like a really good authority, somebody who really should know this, tell me that Kiss was the next game, right? And then I had somebody else, just even more recently, who also really in the know said, oh yeah, it's Kiss any day now. Kiss any day now. Well, then I got my I don't know if I posted this on Facebook. You may not have caught it, friendly listener, but I posted that I got this anonymous email from somebody who said, nope, Game of Thrones is next. Calling my shot. And they said something like that. Very confident sounding. And this is someone who'd emailed me before about WrestleMania. And they were right. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe it is Game of Thrones. And then I heard some other stuff that made me think it is Game of Thrones. So I don't even know. I have no idea. I don't know. I will tell you there's a post on Pinside in the Kiss will outsell AC/DC, or maybe Kiss is the next Stern pinball machine, one of those two threads, where somebody calls out, and I don't even know who it is. You can go find it yourself, but it's on the internet, so I'm going to say it. Says, Kiss, Game of Thrones, Jurassic Park will be the next 3 Stern titles released. I believe that to be fairly accurate. I've been hearing the Jurassic World / Jurassic Park rumor pretty steadily from lots of different places. It sounds like that is intellectual property that is either being looked at and that's leaked out because somebody posted it on Pinside after the rumors have kind of been going around, or that's happening and being designed. So I think that's a pretty good move there, going with the Jurassic World, because we're far enough out from Jurassic Park. We're like a generation away now from Jurassic Park, and not just the pinball machine, but I mean the movies. In Data East, which turned into Sega, which turned into Stern, that was one of their most successful pinball machines. So I think there's some history and lineage there that makes it pretty interesting. So, when I look at Kiss, Game of Thrones, and Jurassic Park, I think they're all really good titles. There are the people that feel really strongly against Kiss. I don't think it'll matter if the game's really awesome. I think we've now seen that in proof positive with Metallica and AC/DC. It doesn't matter. If you have a band, rock and roll I think is universal enough that if the game is really awesome, with a great look, great art, and music integration, and rules and everything, it can be a pretty successful game. And there's no reason Kiss can't be good. Kiss's music is timeless up through like the first 3 or 4 albums. It's just amazing rock and roll music. I'm not like a huge Kiss fan, but man, those first like 3 records, poorly recorded, it's kind of simple, but it's so good. It's so really good. So I'm actually pretty excited to see Kiss. Kiss is a funny story because if you look back to a little over a year ago at Midwest Gaming Classic 2014, John Papaduke infamously brought a Kiss pinball machine mock-up in foam core to his booth at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and the artwork was gorgeous. And there's been a lot of fallout where I think people didn't understand that John wasn't actually the one doing this artwork. He was hiring people to do artwork for games. And we saw one of those artists whose name I'm totally blanking on right now, popped up on Pinside. Zombie Yeti. How could I forget Zombie Yeti? How on earth could anybody forget the name Zombie Yeti, right? Okay, Zombie Yeti. So he was one of the people if not the only one recently, I don't know that for sure, drawing for John Papaduke, specifically like Magic Girl. And, you know, he popped up. So I don't know that he did the Kiss drawings. I'm not sure that that's the case. In fact, I lean towards it not being the case. But maybe I'm wrong. Please, friendly listener, let me know. Correct me on that. But the Kiss game that John brought was pretty amazing. And I was told by John in person, he actually told me he felt that is, you know, why Stern went and got the license to do Kiss, because they saw John's take on it. I've heard that argued, and I've heard people say that Stern was pursuing that license well ahead of time. I don't know the truth. I just know that I think there's value in Kiss from a rock and roll, just kind of general rock and roll standpoint, because not only just a rock and roll band, but they also have a lot of imagery and makeup and, you know, good stuff for a pinball machine. But also, obviously, Bally Kiss pinball machine is a very famous, iconic machine. So there's some history in pinball there, too. So I will dive deeper into that when they announce it, if they announce it. Game of Thrones, looking at Game of Thrones, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. The show, not the books. Teresa has read the books. I like the show. I don't want to read the books now because I'll spoil the show, if that makes any sense. Kind of the opposite of what most people say. I really like the show. It's great drama set in a cool time with interesting characters and lots of people who are both good and bad and evil and great, and heroes become villains and villains become heroes. I love that sort of storytelling. Game of Thrones will make an excellent pinball machine, and Game of Thrones has there's this huge potential with Game of Thrones that I guess other people are probably catching on to now, but you know, dragons play a central theme in Game of Thrones. And Hobbit is still just getting ready to come out from Jersey Jack Pinball. So it's this interesting thing where could Stern steal a bunch of thunder from JJP by releasing Game of Thrones with some sort of giant dragon toy or something like that? I'm not saying they will. I mean, there's so much you can call from the Game of Thrones IP, but it could happen, and boy, would that be interesting. You know, people were speculating when the Vault Edition Iron Man came out that, oh, what if they released Lord of the Rings next, right at the same time as the Hobbit's being released? Wouldn't that be sort of a big, kick in the pants to Jersey Jack? And it could be. It would be interesting. It'd be quite the move, the political move, and not even political. It's a business move, right? But you could see if Game of Thrones was announced next. You could see very kind of similar atmosphered games, if you will, and I think that's incredibly interesting to watch. So I'm kind of all eyes on if Game of Thrones is next, and that's going right up against the impending release of The Hobbit, which I don't know that we're as close as we should be to The Hobbit coming out. That could be very interesting if those two get to go head to head. I would like to see it on some level, maybe. Although part of me would like to see that not happen and Jersey Jack get to sell a bunch of games. We'll see. And then Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, if that's, early 2016, something like that, mid 2016. Lots of stuff you can do with dinosaurs, right? I think that's a pretty good one. So I thought that was sort of interesting. All the emails and this is probably the height of, since I've been doing this show, the height of the rumor mill actually coming towards me, and I feel like I'm stuck in it sometimes, and sometimes I feel like I can't say anything. And another manufacturer, who will be renamed nameless, and I love that there's enough companies out there now that it's not super obvious who I'm talking about, but another manufacturer basically told me one of their next licenses, or their next license, I might be trying to throw you off here, and said, here it is, you can't tell anybody. And it was great, it was cool, and it gives me lots to think about, except the only problem is, now I don't want to get on here and speculate. I can't really, because it would all just be like acting, because I know what it is, so I can't say it. So sort of, it changes my ability to pontificate, guess, and be wrong or right about one company's next game. So, but it's cool. I think it'll be good no matter what. So, interesting stuff that's being talked about and argued about and discussed on the pinball Pinside, the Pinside pinball forums right now. I'm stumbling over my words here. All right, just some random musings here from myself. What were we going to talk about? Okay, Pinhead's Pinball Podcast. I thought it'd be kind of funny if I played you a segment of the most recent Pinhead's Pinball Podcast, because on their last show, they played a segment of one of my last shows. And so I was going to actually play this segment of them playing me, which would just be like a total like circle. But I won't do it, because I'm too lazy to do all the editing right now, to be quite honest with you. But I was very much looking forward to hearing Rod's take on the whole Skit B Predator thing, because, you know, Kevin went on Pinheads a couple times, and he gave a pretty lengthy interview that at the time I sort of felt like I had missed out on, because I'd had an opportunity here and there to interview Kevin at a couple different shows. And I mean, man, I know it sounds like hindsight and everything, but I was just always a little off on that project. There was just always something, and go back and listen, I didn't cover that project all that much. I actually got email going, why aren't you talking about Predator? And I tried to justify it in my head going, well, it's already sold out. What's there to talk about, you know? But, yeah, it didn't feel right. Something felt right. And maybe I didn't like the game, and I didn't want to have to kind of fake it, you know, to Kevin. There might have been that, too. I didn't really love the game. And I did a brief clip with Kevin at a show, and that's about it. But I was actually really impressed with the interview that they did with Kevin. It's probably, looking back at the dozen or so Pinhead shows, it was probably my favorite show, because Kevin gave a pretty good interview. Now, listening back onto it, a lot of it was just complete and utter nonsense and untruths and lies, talking about, you know, things to do with the license that just didn't exist. It's kind of mind-blowing in a way. So I was really interested to hear Rod's take. And Rod, he's an optimist. I love the attitude, and I don't want to like label an entire country in any way, shape, or form, but I've met a fair share of Australians in my lifetime. Pretty generally happy, upbeat people, and I like that. And Rod seems to be taking this, at least outwardly on his show, in great stride with a lot of class. It'd be pretty easy to get a microphone in front of you, having gone through this and having had somebody basically pull this shenanigan-filled situation, you know, over you, where at some point Kevin knew he couldn't build these games, and I think he was just hoping he wouldn't get caught. And then he goes on interviews and talks on the internet about issues with the license that didn't exist. I mean, come on. But Rod was pretty cool. It bothered him. You could tell it bothered him. I think it's to be expected that people are going to be really upset, but Rod handled it pretty great. I'm really just kind of blown away that here we are a couple months out, and someone who, you know, promised all these refunds in a timely fashion, his words, not mine, isn't refunding the money. It just makes me it's a bummer. It's not good. So, I don't know, man. I wish I had something good and positive to say here, but check out the Pinhead's Pinball Podcast. It's a really good show that I look forward to listening to and hearing their take. And this one's a good one because you get to hear someone who was in on the game pretty early on, who had, you know, personal discussions with Kevin about the game on his Pinball Podcast show, and then the reaction. So I thought that was incredibly interesting. Okay, other random musings. The One and Done Pinball Podcast. I've got that note here. I think it's time that the folks running the One and Done change the name. There's no time like now, because the farther along you drag this name One and Done, the more it sticks. Because it's already kind of sticking. Everyone already knows it. It's the One and Done. But it's not one and it's not done. There's nothing relevant about that name. I get the idea. The idea was, hey, let's all tell our story. I think the original idea is we'll mail this recorder around to each other and then post our pinball story as like a quick autobiographical podcast. And the truth of it is, to actually do this podcast thing, there's, you know, a tiny bit of skill needed. There's not a lot of skill needed, but there's a certain amount of just like mental readiness to be able to just talk into a recorder for 20, 30, 40 an hour long and not bore yourself or feel like you're boring other people. You gotta have quite the ego is what I'm trying to say here. No, kidding. But it's just not that easy to do, and not everybody wants to do it. But some people do. And I think on the One and Done podcast, a few people have popped out. I've listened to Taylor's and Sparky's and Tommy's episodes, and maybe there's a few others in there, but I've listened to a lot of them. And there's people with some passion for it that want to keep doing shows. I think what I would do if I was this group is I'd rename it, because the name's a waste now. And the name is going to be tough to get sort of people excited to listen to. And the goal is to get people to listen to. But I would put a name on it, maybe the People's Pinball Podcast, or Pinball from the People, a podcast, or Podcasting Pinball People. See what I'm doing here? I'm saying the same 3 words over and over. Whatever you want to call it. But I would rename it, and I would have multiple hosts who host their shows whenever they like, whenever they have something going on, or they're going to a show, or they're reviewing a game, talking about a new release. Do that, and then Skype together and record shows together here and there. And then you have this sort of like conglomerate of individual podcasters. Podcasters by the people, for the people, man. That's what I would do, but rename it. Because every single time I see the name One and Done, or I hear somebody say One and Done, I cannot help in my overly logical mind that I tend to run. I love just 1 + 1 is 2. I hear One and Done, and I'm like, no, it's not. That's all I think is, no, it's not. And I do like the podcasts, and I do listen to them, and I like hearing people talk about this hobby clearly. But I would change the name. And enjoy the benefits of drawing people in and getting people excited about it. But definitely band together, man. I think that's the best thing you could do, is have your individual shows and then have your group shows. I think that'd be a fantastic idea. And if anybody needs any help on how to do the group show thing, Don and Jeff at the Pinball Podcast can answer all your questions. Email them. They will straighten you right out.
Check the email.
All right, let's get some emails answered. I'm just jumping back to some random spot in my email list. We're looking at number 27 of 787. I'm only going back to 27 right now. So that's just how it's going to be. Hey, Joe Zinkus, friend of the show, Joe Zinkus, who I got to see again at the Midwest Gaming Classic. Color DMD, I agree. $400 is too much, especially for older machines. However, what I feel a lot of people are doing is waiting for their stock DMD to start flaking is actually what he said, flaking, excuse me. And rather than spending $200 to replace it with the same orange grayscale, that's the point when they upgrade to color. Joe goes on to say there's been some obvious negatives about the smart DMD, including having to mount an LCD that sticks out, having to program it through a computer. There was an early issue where the first 8 dots in a row were missing, et cetera, et cetera. Smart DMD replaces the frames with a flat image. There's no separation of layers. While the user can't tell the difference, editing code may make it more difficult. Some of the things that have been said about there. And then, most importantly of all of this, he brings up... with that said, I really do love the pinball browser. I don't know if you've played with it yet, but it's easier than you think to change sound and images if you're careful. In fact, if you'd like, I can make a custom Stern logo Shivers Pinball for your Metallica. And in the next email, I believe, email number 25, he sends me a bin file, which I've not figured out how to use yet. I have not used the pinball browser yet. But he sent me the screenshot, Shivers Pinball. Very cool. Thank you, Joe. That is excellent. What else do we got here? Michael. Hey, Nate, an idea. Pinball Design Awards, a biannual event. Best playfield design, best code, blah, 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 blah. Biannual. Now, hold on. I don't do English all that well. Biannual. Does that mean twice annually or every other year? I don't know. Twice annually would be way too much. Every other year could possibly work. That would get a fair amount of design things out. It's tough because there's not that many things. I do like the idea of doing some awards, but to me it's going to be more like, Resurgence Game of the Year or Best Release of the Year or Story of the Year. Maybe when I come to do the 2015 wrap-up, I'll try and integrate some of that into the show, but thank you for this suggestion, Michael. All right, Joel, friend of the show, Joel from Kansas City. Nate, I just finished 2 days of qualifying at Cactus Jack's Silver Ball Showdown. It's in Oklahoma City. I thought you might want to hear a little bit about the tournament. Cactus Jack's. First off, Cactus Jack's is incredible. Dozens of games, fantastic condition. Anyone that is near this place needs to go and go now. Joel, I agree completely. I have been to Cactus Jack's. Dan is a great dude. He's an ambassador to pinball with a fantastic collection. The tournament, Joel goes on to continue. The tournament has been a mix of good and bad. The good. The match play format has been a blast. I've met great people from all over the country. I've gotten to play multiple games against, quote, famous players and beat them, because there are so many games. This tournament has made me a bit better pinball player. I've played with phenomenal players. Watching them play has taught me a lot. I've played games I don't know anything about, but other people here have taught me how to play well. Playing multiple player games all day long and a huge variety of games has helped me to slow down my game and be much more thoughtful about what I'm doing. I will leave the Silver Ball Showdown a better player than I was when I arrived. Fantastic. The bad. Bad. The management of the tournament has had some challenges. The tournament is not, quote, fair. Every matchup has been a big mix of players. Players ranked in the top 50 are being grouped with players in the bottom 50. Guess who's winning? After day one, we were split into A and B divisions. Even after being split up, the B division players continued to be grouped with the A division players. So how good you did in your division depended on the luck of the draw. A group of 3 A players and 1 B player really sucks for the B player. A group of 1 A player and 3 B players totally rules for that A player because he gets some easy points. I realize it's just pinball, but having an unbalanced playing field makes the wins and losses feel kind of random and trivial. 2 days of qualifying. Doesn't seem like there's not a lot of purpose, but maybe that's not such a big deal. Day 1, 59 people played pinball all day and then split into A and B divisions. Day 2, 29 people in A division, 30 people in the B division. The players then compete to become the top players in their division. Day 3, the top players in each division play in the final. The final tournaments includes 70% of the total players, and 30% that didn't make it in play each other in a consolation tournament. Some people are whining about the final tournament only disqualifying a few players, but personally, I love that we all get to play tons of pinball for 3 days straight. Isn't that kind of the takeaway in some of these events? Thank you for the email, Joel. Excellent insight. I appreciate you being my man on the scene. I would have loved to have gone to that tournament. I actually really had hoped that I didn't have work obligations that weekend, because I would have made the trip. I love that you got to play so much pinball. That's awesome. I think that's going to be one of the things that really sucks people into that tournament competition side of pinball, is getting in those situations where you are forced to think about what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just a waste. So you force yourself to focus, and you do become better. I'm a better player just from playing in the few tournaments I've played in. And I know exactly what Joel's saying. So it sounds like that was a really good event. I know there was a Papa Circuit Tour stop, well-deserved Papa Circuit Tour stop. We will have Mr. Josh Sharp back on the show here very soon for his monthly episode or segment, depending on how long we go. I'm guessing episode based on all the stuff going on with Whoppers and 5.1. And we will talk about some of these tournament layouts and the idea that 70% of the finals or 70% of the tournament players are included in the finals, and what that means. Does that mean anything? Running through the mailbag here. Let's see. All right. Patrick writes, just wanted to drop a line and say I'm both a new listener to the show and a new in-box Metallica owner. I'm overall new to the hobby and didn't foresee myself ever buying a new in-box until Metallica started getting produced again at Stern. For me, it's the perfect storm of gameplay, theme, and aesthetics. Anyway, something you said resonated with me when talking about modding Metallica. You said you don't have a lot of people over, and that modding it would be somewhat pointless just for yourself. That made a lot of sense to me. Any company I have over are not pinball people and wouldn't know the difference. I went from grandiose plans to some basic Cliffies and Snake Fangs. To the big question, however, you talk a lot about Color DMD in your last show. Are you making the jump on that one for Metallica? It's so cool, but an expensive mod. Anyway, I enjoyed the show and look forward to hearing more. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Patrick. Patrick, I want a Color DMD really badly. I don't want to spend $400, but I do want one. So, $400 is exactly the right price to get me really, I'm on the edge. If it was $50 less, if it was $350, I wouldn't even think twice. In fact, I can say this: if it was $350, I would have already had one set to the white Sigma display setting on my Twilight Zone. there's something in my head about $400. And I'll tell you what part of it is. The Skylab pinball machine, the EM Skylab, Williams EM Skylab single-player pinball machine, it's in my living room. It's in pretty nice shape. I paid $400 for that entire game, and it just pains me to do that for a display. But I really want one. I have the Cliffy installed on the Mystery Hole Metallica myself. I do want to get the fangs. I've been meaning to do that. I did buy plastic protectors. They're the ones from Pinball Life that are sort of a translucent kind of green look around the bottom. And then I bought a clear protector for Sparky's feet so that we get less air balls up there. So I think Patrick and I are kind of thinking along the same lines. All right, my next few emails are people forwarding me the announcement of Metallica Colored EMD. This is from Rob from credit.pinball.com. I'll see you at VWF this year. I'll be the one limping around nursing sore private bits. I'll just leave that at that. I think this was a private email. Sorry, Rob. Hope that painted a pleasant picture for you. At least you'll know why I'm grimacing in pain when I introduce myself. He actually explained what he meant, but it's something I'm not going to share on the show farther than I already did. So check out Rob McLarge's website, credit.pinball.com. That's credit, D-O-T, pinball.com. Really cool blog site with some great interesting articles that I'm trying to go to really quickly so I can tell you what his most recent feature article is there on credit.pinball.com. It's loading here. Time Warner Internet is slowing my show down. How dare you? Here we go. There's some pictures. Here, opinion. The Complications of Letting Go. This is posted on April 14th, 2015, and I'm guessing this is something that echoes something I've said before. Yes, it is. I'll read you the first line to credit.pinball.com's most recent article. He says, "I'm very good at buying games. I'm getting better at restoring games, but I'm absolutely dreadful at selling or trading games. I feel your pain. I think I've said the same thing before. I'm not good at selling games." Next email. Let's go. Brad writes, "Been somewhat out of pinball for the past year, but now catching up on missed episodes. Still love the show. Please keep up the great work. See the pic. Are you jealous?" And he sent me a large photo with a bunch of quarters. I'm always jealous of everybody else's money. No, I'm just kidding. Shane, friend of the show, Shane in Australia. He forwarded me the Highway Pinball announces a North American pinball prototype build group. After years of talking with John Greatwich, guest of the show, John Greatwich, John is putting together a group that will build pinball prototypes based on Highway Pinball's parts and operating system. Fully supported by Highway Pinball, the group will work on developing and building non-licensed themes, which could eventually be manufactured as licensed or unlicensed games by Highway in the future if there's sufficient demand. The goal is to have a group of volunteer pinball people work independently on creating new ideas, bringing back creative thinking with non-licensed themes for prototypes. The build group will make pinball prototypes for the group only, with the goal being that each group member will own a version of the game they helped to produce. The group will not be manufacturing pinball machines for public sale. All technical people will work remotely, and the builds will take place in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. John Greatwich is currently putting a North American team together. If you're interested in joining this group, please contact John for more information at johngreatwich@outlook.com. So what we're talking about here, and I appreciate Shane sending me this. Shane should just book my show for me right now because I'm spastic tonight. You have a system like Highway Pinball that is promoting the ability to swap out the playfield for another playfield. So it's a system, think Pinball 2000, where you buy one cabinet and one head of the cabinet, and instead of buying a whole nother game, you buy the playfield and the side art and the back glass. So the idea here is that with this sort of the mobility and the functionality of being able to swap out playfields, let's design and work on building new games for the system so that we do bring new designers in, right? This could be very interesting because there's a lot of people wanting to build pinball machines, but I think somebody once said building pinball machines is hard. It's very abstract. I'm going to build a pinball machine. Oh, really? Go ahead. But if somebody said, here's a platform with all your power and your cabinet and everything's sort of waiting there for you, you just need to build a play. You need to populate and design a play field. We've already got all your other bits and parts here. Your driver stuff is here. Your flippers are here. It could be interesting. And I think there's some very smart, very talented people out there that are not officially, quote, officially involved in designing pinball that could bring some great ideas to pinball and could probably, design something really cool. This is the early days of this, but I would watch this story, and if you're sitting there at home thinking, I want to design a pinball machine, this might be the best and easiest route to doing that. All right, I want to jump into an email I got while this show was actually starting a little bit ago. Hello, Nate. My name is Jeremy, and I've been listening to your podcast for about 7 months now, and have been caught up since January. I missed you at Expo because I went early Thursday, and will miss you again at the showcase, talking about the Ann Arbor Pinball Showcase coming up in Ann Arbor, Michigan at Clay Harold's VFW Pinball, because you are going early. I thought I've had for some time is a Stern credit card. I tried to do a little research on how companies make money off sponsoring a credit card, but couldn't find much. I currently have a Disney card and some kids and earn money towards Disney stuff. My parents have a GM card and earn money toward GM cars. With the price of new in-box pins what they are, wouldn't it be great to earn money towards a new pin? Maybe Stern isn't a big enough company to warrant their own card. You may have more knowledge on the subject than me. Let me know what you think about it. Thanks, Jeremy. Jeremy, you're probably right. Stern is probably not big enough. Generally, how that works is a company partners with a bank, and there's money changing hands. The bank gets the interest kickback on purchases. I think so. If GM is sponsoring it, GM's big enough, they may have their own set of banking. If you look at who do I deal with in my world? So Guitar Center. Guitar Center is the biggest musical instrument chain in the world. My company sells to Guitar Center, and Guitar Center sells our products. They have a credit card. So if you look at how that works, they partner with a bank, which is an arm of General Electric, GE, because GE has a lot of financing side of it, and they're trying to sell that side off to something called, they renamed it Synchrony, yada, yada, yada. But just in a nutshell, it's GE. GE sponsors that, sponsors those sales, and offers terms on those sales, like 12 months sale, like you go to Best Buy, you buy something expensive, you get 12 months payment. So that's one way a credit card could be used. What you're talking about is sort of an earnings type situation where for every dollar I spend, I get a penny towards Stern credit or something like that. Stern's probably not big enough to do that. I actually believe, with the price of new in-box pinball machines being what they are, instead of a credit card, I think some sort of quality financing program could be put in place. But you got to remember, pinball is from the coin-op side of the world, and coin-op traditionally sold to operators who were probably borrowing from a bank or running their business on a line of credit or just had cash. So it's really tough to get financing on something that's so non-necessary. Cars are easy to finance because everyone needs cars and people are going to need them, and it's a high priority thing to pay down. Houses, you got to have houses and housing, so mortgages. But then you start getting into things like consumer electronics, and where the failure rate on paying that back gets higher. In my industry, it's tough. But musical instruments, if you go to a certain websites have 24 months. That is what I think could help pinball move more units. If I could buy a new in-box Stern pinball machine and have 12 months to pay it off with no interest, 12 months, zero interest, Stern pinball, and Stern pays the bank to offer that deal. Okay, so follow me. And here's going to be the catch in all of this, because Stern doesn't sell direct. So Stern would have to partner with their distributors. So let's take a distributor like CoinTaker, just pulling one out of the sky, or Tilt Amusements. CoinTaker and Tilt Amusements would run something basically like a consumer financing offer, 12 months, 12 equal payments, no interest on all brand new in-box Stern pinball machines. I think it would be very successful. I've actually already had this thought. I've floated it to a few people. I don't know if there are banks that would be willing to do this, but the way that would work is pretty simple. You would work a deal out where Stern and or a combination of Stern and the distributor, the store, if you will, picture the distributor like Best Buy, is going to offer a financing plan on these games. So let's say the game is $6,000. For every $6,000 game, Stern and or the distributor is going to send some percentage of that money to the bank. And in return, the bank is going to let that customer have 12 months to pay that game off in 12 payments with zero interest to the customer. And I'm going to tell you that percentage Stern would have to pay would probably be in the 8 to 12% mark. So could it work? Absolutely, because here's what you could do. Stern could just raise the price a little bit. And you could also hold people to a retail selling price to make the deal work. Like, hey, I can, because we all know that people fight for deals on pinball machines and negotiate with distributors. So you would set this up like, I can sell you the game for $5,500, or if you want 12-month financing, it's $6,000. No discount. Because somewhere along the line, someone's got to pay for that. I think it could work. I actually think it could happen. And if Stern was really looking at growing the market and expanding that consumer base, they would be all over that, trying to find a bank that would partner with them and then try and work out a deal and maybe even go 18 months. In guitars right now, my company, Taylor Guitars, we run 2 consumer financing programs, 12-month and 18-month. Here's the difference. At 12 months, the interest is paid by the company, by Taylor Guitars. Taylor pays a percentage to the bank to offer that 12 months if the customer chooses 12 months. The 18-month deal, we pay a percentage, and the store selling the guitar pays a percentage. So we both have skin in the game to offer even more extended financing, and we'll do this on the guitars that sell for as little as like $1,400 or $1,500. So we're talking about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $9,000 Stern pinball machines. I think it could work. In fact, I will tell you, if this program was offered, just because I do this show and I would love to talk about these games with a little more authority, and I want to be a player who plays the new games, I would buy every new Stern game in this manner, every single one of them, because the money shelled out would be so low. I would buy the game. Let's say WrestleMania is out. I would buy WrestleMania 12 months. So that is, I know you guys love when we do math on the show. It's the part that you're all waiting for. Let's say the game is $55. Let's call it $6,000. $6,000 divided by 12. So that's $500 a month. So I'm paying $500 a month for WrestleMania. What I would do is I would play the heck out of it for like 3 or 4 months, likely sell it, and then just pay off the thing. And maybe it ends up costing me $1,000 to have that game for the month or two. I'd do that for the show. I would. I think a lot of people would just buy a game or two a year in this manner and have these low payments spread out. And then I know some of you are screaming, but I can do it on a credit card. Well, you're paying interest on a credit card, and PayPal offers you 6 months, but you gotta be able to use PayPal and have the money in PayPal and have somebody will take PayPal. Anyway, consumer financing, it could work in pinball. That's all I'm gonna say. There, we got some email answered. Mission accomplished. All right, Bowen, today we're going to talk about tournament and scoring strategies, competitive strategies for X-Men Pinball. And I'm going to go ahead and assume we're talking about the pro here.
Okay. The best advice is to go talk to Keith Elwin instead of me.
Okay, we'll do that.
You should just do that. But if you're stuck talking to me like you are right now, it's very much a game about stacking. And by stacking, I mean you're going to start things, but then not really pay attention to them as much as you're paying attention to starting another thing that brings them all together. In particular, there are 2 main multi-balls in X-Men, the Magneto multi-ball and the Wolverine multi-ball. And those multi-balls are valuable by themselves, but they become incredibly more valuable if you bring something else into them. And the 2 things you can bring into multi-balls are the hero modes and the villain modes. Hero mode, you start by shooting the same hero shot, I think 2 or 3 times, depends on the setting of the game. So Iceman or Rogue or the lady who just keeps shouting about the weather.
Yeah.
By making enough of those shots, you start those modes, and then if you start the Magneto or the Wolverine, those modes will all still be running when you enter that multi-ball. The villain modes are even more valuable. They are harder to light, but they are very valuable. And the way you light villain modes is by completing the in lanes and then shooting the hole shot on the left. You also can sneak this by just shooting the hole over and over again. If you shoot the hole and there's nothing lit, it will give you one of the in lanes for Blackbird. So you just shoot the hole, shoot the hole, shoot the hole, shoot the hole, and eventually, after shooting a hole, say 7 times, you'll get a villain mode. And then once you've started a villain mode, you can bring it into Wolverine or bring it into Magneto and clear out that villain mode without really concentrating on it as much as you would have to in single ball play.
When we talked about the Addams Family, we discussed shooting the scoop there more as a backhand or a straight-on shot from the left flipper. Is that possible on X-Men?
The scoop on X-Men is big enough. It's the same scoop that was on Stern Indiana Jones or Frankenstein back in the day. It's big, so you can pretty much throw a ball in there from either side, and you won't really have to think too hard about what's going to happen. Every so often it lips out, and then you're in trouble down the left side, but when there's not really much you can do about that. It is a good thing to do that if you're not playing anything, just keep shooting that scoop, and it will give you a villain mode eventually. And the recovery out of the scoop is super simple. Usually you can just hold up your left flipper and everything's fine. If that's not working because the kickout's too fast, just bounce it over. There's one other thing to focus on with X-Men that I don't think a lot of players know about, which are the 2 stand-up banks on the left side and the right side of the game that qualify 2 additional multi-balls besides the ones we just talked about.
Talking about the Brotherhood targets and the Hellfire targets, right?
Yes, yeah. And those are amazingly valuable as well. Those multi-balls are worth a lot of points, but they also are more opportunities to bring in villains and heroes into a multi-ball. In any game, if you're in multi-ball, you're kind of on, not on borrowed time, but you're on happy time because nothing truly terrible can happen to you. You could drain all your balls and get a double drain or triple drain, but that doesn't happen very often. What happens more often is you just get to play that multi-ball for a while and not have to fear for your life that you're losing a turn.
You know, when I see games, and I know there's The Walking Dead comes to mind right now with the drop targets on the far left. When I see games that have these side targets, Tron's another one, do you shoot those across the game from the edge of the flipper, or are you just trying to accidentally bump into those throughout normal gameplay?
Because of the value of the Brotherhood and the Hellfire targets, I actually am actively shooting for them now on X-Men. The ideal is when I'm shooting for that hole that will light the villain for me.
Yeah,
I want to have the ball graze into the targets that are just to the left of the hole. Have it graze off those targets and in the hole. And by doing so, you can light that multi-ball, and then you can pick up the other multi-ball kind of just on the edge of whatever you're doing. Even when you're going for Magneto locks, you could have it bounce off those targets and into Magneto locks. On Tron, you bank it off the Tron targets and through gems sometimes. It's a nice carom. And those are the kind of caroms that used to be just normal in EMs and early solid states. They're very rare to find in modern games, but when they are available, they can be really rewarding.
Getting in bed with Teresa.
Hey, Teresa!
What am I doing?
Teresa's brushing her teeth and dancing around the living room.
Getting stuck.
Why are you brushing your teeth in the living room?
I can't talk. I have trouble with my mouth.
I didn't hear you. What?
No, you have to come back in a minute. I have trouble with.
All right, folks, I tried.
Come back and be fine.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey, Nate.
Is that better?
Yes.
You know I'm going to play the other one too, right?
Oh, babe.
Hey, man, that's how we roll here at Coast2Coast Pinball.
It's not fair. I was brushing my teeth.
There's no fair. So what's going on? How you been? You haven't been on the show in a long time.
I know. I've been good. I mean, you've been traveling a lot.
I have been traveling a lot. We've covered that on this show. This show has no script. It may be the show where I finally jumped the shark. This could be.
no.
We may have pinnacled. This could be the downhill now.
Don't say that.
We're on a downslope.
Don't know. That's not true.
It could be.
I disagree.
I do too. My ego's way too big to admit that.
Oh, babe.
I'm just kidding. No. So we played some split flipper pinball yesterday, didn't we?
I know. I
You
thought
played
I did
the left
good.
side. You did do good.
Although it made my certain arm and wrist muscles sorer than I thought they would be.
By just using one hand instead of both.
Because I was so focused, I feel like I was hitting the flipper, the button too hard.
Because, at some point we're going to be at a show that's going to have a split flipper tournament. And you're my partner.
I want to be your partner. It's
I don't need
exciting.
Steve Bowden. I don't need Josh Sharp.
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve Bowden and Josh Sharp.
However, if Zach Sharp wants to team up,
So mean.
you're out of luck and you're going to...
Whatever. We have the same last name, Shivers and Shivers.
Yeah, but he's a lot
It
better
sounds
than
like a
you.
law firm.
Not really.
no.
So Metallica's been here for about a month now. What do you think now? Because you didn't like Sparky at first.
I still don't like Sparky. His
What?
tongue is gross.
His tongue is gross? That's what you focus on?
His tongue is really gross, and I realize that he likes it.
He
as
likes
they
getting
like to say.
electrocuted.
It's bothersome.
Why?
I feel like he's being electrocuted. Okay.
He is, and
Time
he
out.
wants
Can we
it.
just go back to Teresa in 7th grade at a summer party watching Faces of Death?
Yes.
Do you remember those?
Whoa. Hey,
Okay, I'm just
this was
saying.
getting really good, and then it got really bad.
No, I'm just saying. Do you remember those awful...
I remember them.
Okay. For some reason...
You're giving Ben Heck pinball machine ideas right now. Faces of Death.
Oh God, those things gave me nightmares for years. Well, there's one where they show a guy being electrocuted, and I think of that.
A lot of those were fake and staged, FYI.
It doesn't matter. I'm scarred. In my
Not all of
7th
them,
grade
but some of them.
brain, that was real.
Well, Sparky likes the electrocution. He's also just a little bobblehead toy, so it's not
I know.
real.
I like the music because I love Metallica.
What's your favorite Metallica song?
I like Ride the Lightning.
You like Red Lightning. So, should we tell the people my dumbness about the song Battery? And the term Battery?
I can't believe that's real.
No, it's real.
Can I tell them?
If you get it right, go ahead.
I will get it right. Okay. Nate comes up to me randomly after work or yesterday or at some point. And he's like, hey, do you know what the Metallica song Battery is about? And I'm like, yeah, beating someone up. And he was like, oh, I shouldn't have known that. And he and a fellow person that he works with both thought that it was about a battery, like a Duracell battery.
Not exactly. So let's rewind my life.
Okay.
I was in the 3rd grade, and somebody gave me the tape Master of Puppets.
Okay.
And said, hey, take this home and listen to this. It's really awesome. They're called Metallica. And it was kind of creepy looking. But I took it home, and the first Metallica song I ever did in the 3rd grade was Battery. And this is back when my tape player ran on batteries. And there were batteries all around. So in my head, it was just Battery. And I thought... And then I got to know Metallica's music and Ride the Lightning and things like that. Electricity. So I'm like, Battery, it's the power. It's ready. But that's not what they're talking about. and this came up in some other thing that we were listening to a comedian, a guitar player on the road with me, Mark and I.
Oh, you were?
And we're listening to the guy who's replacing Jon Stewart on The Daily Show.
Oh.
And he was talking about how funny English is and how poorly we speak English. He's from South America. Okay. And he said, when I read this about the battery, I think that you're doing something. He was basically bringing to light the fact that we say battery where we should say battery or battery. We pronounce it wrong.
Right.
And I started just thinking about the word battery, and I was like, oh, did I just realize that 27 years into my life that I've been thinking of this song in the wrong context of the word battery? And I have been. We looked up the lyrics, and it was very clearly about assaulting and hurting someone.
Yeah. But I came across it in high school, so that's why.
Because you're older than me.
Oh, no, it had been out for a long time. I just didn't come across it.
So you're not older than me.
I am older than you, but I'm not that much older than you. It's not like you were in 3rd grade and I was in high school, babe.
Well, whatever.
I'm just saying, I came at it from a different point of view.
So
I knew what it was about. I wasn't a child
Clearly.
Shut up.
Anyway, so you're okay with Metallica now, though? You seem to be okay with it.
It's a great game. And you love it. Gosh,
I do love it.
You always do that when you get a new one. You neglect your other pens.
But what was I playing tonight?
You played the...
I was playing America's Most Haunted tonight.
And you got your awesome score. Did you tell them what you did?
I did. So dumb of me. But anyway, you saw it. It's all that matters.
did. I was the witness. And on Skylab.
Oh, that's right. I put up my high score ever on Skylab tonight.
And I documented that as well.
Yeah. Like 244,000.
And 10.
And 10.
244,010.
I may have scored higher than that once when I was alone, but I didn't write it down, so it's not official.
You would have mentioned if you had rolled it over twice.
Well, yeah, something like that. Anyway,
never said that.
Pretty happy about that.
Do you have any pinball questions for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Do you think that I should spend $400 on a colored DMD for Metallica where it'll colorize all the animations on the DMD screen?
No, because some of the animations are gross, and I don't want them to be in color.
What's gross?
Like the snake throwing up, that's gross.
But
what's he going to throw up?
I don't know. Colored dots. Instead of red dots, they'll be colored dots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to do it.
I thought you said there are all sorts of fun mods for that game.
Well, there are. You watched me put on the plastic protectors.
Oh, that's considered a mod too?
Well, but
anything that modifies the game is a mod?
Yeah, man.
I thought it was like a cool figurine that was a mod.
That could be a mod. There's lots of mods. One of the big mods on that game is a helmet edition that shows little colored wires coming off his helmet, for the electrocution.
Do they have a tongue sock?
No, there's no tongue sock
that covers up his.
Many people have paid lots of money to have their Sparky dolls painted.
You showed me that.
All sorts of different colors.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Like the famous dude.
Another one of the big mods I see is people putting 3 crosses along the back that are kind of lit up. But I don't like big plasticky mods on games generally.
No.
So I don't want that. I am going to get the fangs for the snake.
Yeah,
I've been meaning to order that. The cat's trying to be on the show. Did you hear that?
I heard her, kitty cat.
And then the cat wants to be on my show. And then I want to put the tongue decal on the snake too, so it's got a tongue and fangs because it's a snake.
How is there a tongue? Like it's on the ground?
No,
like on
and
the playfield?
the little metal piece where the ball clicks in, the tongue, it's just a sticker that goes on that metal piece and looks like a snake's tongue.
Okay, that's fine.
I want that. Other than that, I kind of lean towards not heavily modding my games because...
What about Twilight Zone? You have the piano and the little dude.
A lot of that was on there when I bought it.
The piano wasn't?
I did the piano because that game should have had a piano on it. That was a gaping hole in that game. Hi, Cisco.
Hi, Cisco the cat.
This is not Coast to Coast Kitty Cats. Stick with me here.
It's pets time for
It's not
Cisco.
pets time. So I tend to not go heavy on mods because 99% of the time, the only people that'll see them is you and me and the cat, apparently. Anyway, I gotta wrap this up.
All right.
Say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Teresa misses you.
I do. I wish I could see you all.
No, you don't.
I don't?
I can confirm you do not wish you could see all of
I
them.
have fun at the one.
There's like 4 or 5 of them that are great to look at. The rest, it's just, you don't want to go there.
Whatever.
All right, good night, Teresa.
Good night.
That is going to do it for episode 161 of Coast to Coast Pinball. I got a lot of stuff lined up. Sorry there haven't been as many shows the last few weeks. When I do these Taylor Roadshow events, just know that you're not going to get a lot of shows out of me. It wears me down, as they say. But I have a special guest I want to have on the show, which I think he's been on the show briefly before, but never for a full show. But I want to have a special guest coming on soon. Josh Sharp's coming on soon. I've got some other ideas. Some other people may be coming on. And we've got some games coming up to talk about in depth. And hopefully some trip reports. We got the Pinball Showcase in Ann Arbor. It's coming up. So there's lots of stuff going on. Really excited about the spring going into the summer with pinball. Can't wait to talk to you guys more about it. Until next time, enjoy yourselves.